Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Luke Westaway.
What? Yes, I am.
Good. I'm really glad you said that, because I'm not sure what I would have said if you said Luke Westaway who.
Luke. Oh, wait, hang on. I forgot the form of jokes. I forgot how comedy is. No, who's there?
Luke,
Doctor.
Luke Westaway.
Yes. Who? Luke Westaway who?
Luke Westaway, who I believe has done some homework on his path to becoming a games master for pen and paper
And we're
role-playing
back on
games.
track.
Bang!
There we go. Bam! Seamless.
Absolutely incredible. So if anyone is watching this and is thoroughly confused, A, can't blame you. B, this is the second part of sort of a little mini-series where Luke and I talk about the ins and outs of running pen and paper role-playing games with a view to getting Luke ready to take my place on the Oxventure and basically run the game for a session.
Yes. Take Johnny's place as a sort of one-off, I hasten to add. Not like...
You're not going to red wedding me.
I'm not going to red wedding you.
That'd be good. God, that was a searingly contemporary TV reference, wasn't it? Well done, Johnny.
Well, I don't know. Is there TikTok or something? Fortnite?
You're not going to do the bathroom wipe challenge with me.
Oh, is that real?
It is. That's a TikTok meme that I've been tangentially aware of.
Cut
Anyway,
this out, Johnny. It makes me look like an old man. Anyway.
Dear.
Yes, so you're teaching me how to GM. We're sort of using Dungeons and Dragons as the template for this because that's the game that we run the Oxventure in. But I'm hoping that this will have potentially broader applications. I know you're trying to teach me to the art of running a tabletop RPG very broadly.
Yes, the idea is that you should be able to apply any of these principles to any pen and paper role-playing game. You just need to know the rules.
Yeah.
And at the end of the last session, I said you should plan an adventure, and then we'd pick it apart lovingly in this video.
Yes.
And then go from there. So
now I have done that. I have planned an Oxventure.
Okay.
This was quite a journey for me. I have a Google Doc which I am about to show you. It was initially about twice as long and very complicated, and then I deleted it all and started again because I tried to sort of describe it aloud, and I just thought I don't know how I'm going to make half of this happen. It's all so contrived, and it's just I think I got carried away and overthought it, so I've deleted all that, and I've tried to cut it back to just some bare, hopefully flexible moving parts. That was my goal anyway. Oh gosh,
I have faith.
I'm so nervous for you to see it though.
It's going to be fine.
Okay. Right. What do you want to do? Do you want to see the Google Doc, or shall I describe it and then show you?
I will look when you're ready for me to look.
Okay. Well, in that case, let me do a little bit of.
Okay. You're going to do
Let me
some
warm you up.
Give me
to
the elevator
idea.
pitch.
So, I tell you what we should say beforehand, because we are going to try and run this as an actual Oxventure. Jane, Andy, Mike, Ellen, if you're watching this video, stop. You're not allowed to see. You must not see the secrets because it has to be a surprise when we run it. So if you're watching it, get out of here. We don't want you around here. You horrible people.
And you can't hear it either, because that's cheating, and that's the exact kind of intellectual tomfoolery we expect from you.
That would be so Corazon, wouldn't it? To be like, well, I've closed my eyes. You didn't say I couldn't listen. And viewers, I'm not going to be mean to you like I was to my colleagues, but I would very kindly ask if you would refrain from tweeting at them anything that you see in this video, or like talking about it in live chat of like live streams on Outside Xbox and Outside Xtra, because we do often like see some of that in our peripheral vision. So like help me keep those secrets.
Yeah, you are all
okay. Disclaimer over.
Secrecy.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll come after you.
Johnny will come after you.
Or in that real fancy villain way, I'll just take it out on the people you love. So I'll hurt the Oxventurers.
Yes. Yeah. He'll just Dobbs legs gone.
What legs?
What legs? I don't believe we ever confirmed he had legs.
I'm gonna retcon that.
He just has two rusty wheels. Right, so at the end of the last session, we joked about running a session where the thing was the Oxventurers were babies, and I couldn't get that out of my head, so that's basically what I've gone with. However, I've tried to dial it back. What I want is for one Oxventurer, and I don't want to know who in advance. I want to leave that slightly up to chance, but I want one Oxventurer to be turned into a baby. And that's what I want to happen. And so I've basically tried to craft a plausible fantasy world working backwards from my desire to turn one of them into a baby. Because I think it would be really funny if one of the players was still able to talk and describe things, but canonically that had to be filtered through me, and then I described it back to everyone. So if they're like, why am I a baby? This is ridiculous. I want to, I don't know, fire my crossbow or something. Then I don't know. Maybe that's like I feel like that's a wisdom check. And if they pass it, then maybe I could communicate to the rest of the group something like, they sort of frown and their bottom lip wobbles, and you can tell that they're unhappy with the situation as they are, and they wave their crossbow around. And maybe on a failed save, they, I don't know, wet themselves or something like that. So I thought that would be funny. My shtick for making that happen is a cursed object, a pocket watch, and what the pocket watch does is magic. It when you open it, it steals all of your experienced time. So it steals every year that you can remember. So I guess it will, whoever it is, it will take you back to sort of age 2, because that's, as far back as you can remember, like 2 or 3. So that's my kind of hopefully slightly cool sounding mythical explanation for why you end up as a toddler who can't really talk. Okay. So the sort of pocket watch is the thing. I was thinking what I want is for this baby transformation thing to come into effect about halfway through, or at least not right at the end.
Yeah.
And maybe not right at the beginning. And I kind of want it to be a surprise. So I thought maybe if the watch is something that the party has to go and find, and maybe that's their sort of first objective. So I thought about, I've sort of dreamed up 2 NPCs, one who sort of sends them to get this watch, and one who is currently in possession of it. Right. Okay. Now I think I'll shut. Now let's have a look at my. Let's have a look at my Google Doc. Okay, and we'll maybe try and sort of go from the beginning.
Okay.
I know this. It's amazing how much you wouldn't believe how much I've thought about this, and it is reduced to like so few sentences. Okay. So I was thinking starting a tavern because it's my first one. I don't want to rock the boat. I want to keep things simple. I thought maybe it could be called the Busted Cannon, to sort of reflect the fact that canonically this Oxventure is going to be a bit wonky. I like the way that you start.
That's brilliant. I only just got that.
I like the way that you start Oxventures with like no immediate sort of hook. It's like just a bit of breathing space up top for everyone to kind of settle into the role playing. As a player, I appreciate that anyway. So I think, well, my gambit is let them chill out for a bit, get some drinks, I suppose, and then the hook will be, hopefully, that the barmaid has been told to look out for likely adventurers because there's someone across the way who's got work for capable sorts. And she gets a commission on a successful outcome, which is why she's involved in this, and has been told to promise rewards beyond gold, and also gold. So, assuming they take the bait and go for that, then they will be directed towards NPC 1, who I have called Leopold Shoelacy. Not loads of thought went into that name.
Good, great.
So this is like man, it's super weird describing this because this has like been in my head and been through many revisions and stuff. But all right, am I doing okay? Should I just press on?
Yeah, no, you're doing great.
Okay. So Leopold Shoelacy, he wants this pocket watch. He is a colonial sort of explorer type. I see him as a sort of charming, posh idiot. And this is for you to know and for me to know, and I suppose the viewers of this video to know, although you wouldn't ordinarily, but actually he's bad. But I don't want him to seem bad at first. I want him to seem like an adorable idiot. So he is a researcher in a museum, which I'm calling the Museum of Unnatural History.
Amazing.
And he's basically into he will tell the Oxventurers, assuming they get this far, that he is that he's interested in magical objects. He bought a brass pocket watch of extraordinary rumored magical power at auction, supposedly taken from some supposedly. What do they say when you know, like with when things are basically stolen from other countries, but you don't want to say stolen. It's
procured.
Procured, yes, procured or yeah, it was procured from a faraway land, and he bought it at auction on behalf of the museum. However, at the point where the auction finished and the watch came to be given to him, it had mysteriously vanished, and he believes that it is the work of a local criminal antique dealer. Erasmus Symes is the name I've gone with here, who runs an antique shop nearby. So he will direct the adventurers to go and get that watch back. Everything past this point, I have planned a bit less, because I was trying to follow your example of basically trying to make the hook very clear, but then trying to be a bit flexible after that.
Yeah.
So I do still have a sort of, I don't know what you'd call it, maybe like a kind of ideal path. It's not really the ideal path, because I guess the ideal path is whatever's funniest, but like, I guess I do have, maybe you'd call it like a backup or safety path. If no one veers wildly off course, I guess what might happen is they go to the antique shop. I've thought a little bit about the layout of the antique shop as a location, because I think there's going to be some action there. Or I will try and make it so that happens. By default, the pocket watch is on the top floor. It's a 2-story building in the middle of a busy street. The pocket watch is on the top floor. The top floor is locked off to visitors. It's in a safe. Also in that room are a ton of other wonders and antiquities, including 3 animated armors, which is an enemy that I looked up and I thought looked kind of cool. I want to talk to you later about choosing enemies, because I am slightly sort of at sea when I'm trying to pick like something that's not going to definitely kill them but won't be too easy.
Sure.
So I imagine that all of this is kind of happening in the daytime, and so probably when they get there he will be running a shop, and he's not going to be very friendly to them, and he's not really going to want to deal with them, and he's not going to want to grant them access to the shop, and I kind of want to leave it up to them to decide. I guess I want to try and drop a clue that the pocket watch is in the building, and is possibly on the top floor, in a safe, but I don't want to. I guess I don't want to dictate too much or try and like lead too much how that happens.
I think you can leave that to chance, really, because the odds are, the party will go in and be like, we're looking for some, you got any pocket watches, or, and then
nothing like that, mate.
Nothing like that. If I did have it, blah blah blah.
Or maybe he kind of maybe as he's talking he sort of glances upwards. Exactly.
There are many ways to give them that information.
Yes. So hopefully I will give them that information. They will get onto the second floor. I guess if this gets massively derailed, then the sort of moving parts, the kind of modular things that we were talking about last week, are the pocket watch in a safe and animated armors that are somehow guarding it. And I suppose hopefully I can maybe do some on the fly mental gymnastics to move those things around if need be. I think if they come back at night, then the Erasmus will be like asleep in the next room, and if they try anything during the day, I think they run the risk of like the police being caught, like the city watch, sort of being. So hopefully I can seed the idea that it's not a good idea to try and like brute force it, but I don't want to. If they want to brute force it, they want to brute force it.
Yeah,
they can kill some city guards. I don't mind. So, once, and now here we've got like I've basically put down some like facts about the pocket watch, because just to sort of like canon facts that I won't necessarily tell, but that I have here, so that I know them, so that they are known to me. So it eats time. It is gnomish. When you open it, it steals all your remembered years, i.e. turns you into a 2-year-old. It is then charged. A ritual that takes maybe 30 minutes to complete transfers the years to the ritual performer. So, the dream scenario here, or the scenario I guess, imagining, is that they'll get this thing out the safe. One of the Oxventurers will pick it up. It will then pop open, and with no warning, that Oxventurer will be turned into a baby.
It's still funny.
Yep, and I don't know if that happens before they have to do a fight or after. I guess it doesn't especially matter. I'm trying to kind of factor in that a baby's not going to be any use in combat, so like I don't want a combat encounter that you could definitely only just squeak by with like a certain number of players, because someone's going to hopefully be a baby. Once someone is a baby, I feel like the only obvious thing to do is to bring the baby and the watch back to Leopold Shoelacy. I don't really know if that's the case, but I guess what I want is for the watch to be taken back to him at the museum.
Yep.
Or anywhere really. But in my mind, in the kind of backup path dream scenario, they go back to the museum. It's empty now, like it's nighttime. And Shoelacy acts all concerned and befuddled and like, oh, I don't know why one of you is a baby. How mysterious and confusing. Please give me that pocket watch, and I'll carry the baby too if you like, and we'll go and we'll take this to the lab. And he goes and by somehow he I don't know, drops a portcullis or a security gate or does something. Basically, he releases a mummy for them to fight, reveals his evil plan, and then it is up to them to defeat the mummy and stop him before he can do this summoning ritual and steal someone's time.
Perfect.
That's what I got.
It's exemplary. Like, genuinely, that's a great doc. Partly, like, mostly because it's more for you than it is for the players. Basically, what this is doing is securing in your mind the identities of everyone involved, what their motivations are, what their sort of details are, but doing it in a loose enough way that you can sort of move it around, and then just leaving them enough space to run with. Like, I think this is absolutely brilliant.
The first draft of this was a lot less loose. My like first draft of the description of the pocket watch had like mechanisms and like clues etched in the back, and like a little spike in the top that took your blood, and another spike in the bottom that like gave some blood, but it was just too complicated. And I had this idea that, like, I don't know, I thought like Erasmus Symes would be set up to be a sort of criminal, described as a criminal, but actually he's a good guy and he's protecting the watch. But then the more I thought about it, the more I thought I think maybe this dude should just be a straightforward villain. And,
yeah.
And you know, plot instigator Leopold Shoelacy is also a villain.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It was starting to feel a bit complicated, I guess.
Yeah. If you've got that much written down that you need to get across, you sort of fall into the trap of having to tell them a lot of things rather than them sort of intuiting it. Like, for example, they'll be able to tell that Symes is operating outside the law because he has a watch he shouldn't have, and he's being cagey about it. He's also unfriendly, which is a surefire way to get that lot to think that somebody is bad. Like in actuality, I in many ways, like in a lot of campaigns that I'm running, I've stopped giving groups quest givers that they won't like, because if they don't get on with somebody, if they start even the slightest squabble, it makes it so much harder because they're like, well, no, I don't want your quest. So if Shoelacy is kind of a charming is charming and cavalier, great, admirable qualities, but is, as you say, an idiot, like that's going to make the Oxventurers feel superior without feeling offended by him. I think they'll take to him quite quickly, especially if he's offering rewards beyond gold and also gold.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of like, it's bang on. They're gonna pick up the narrative framework of this easily. I have written down a few questions just to poke holes at this, not poke holes in this thing, but poke at this thing in general.
Test the fences for weaknesses like a velociraptor.
Yeah, exactly. The first one actually I wrote down was Shoelacy. Will he get on with the party? Like,
right. I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine him being like just delighted that someone has taken up the, like, oh goodness, I'd given up. I am now freewheeling. I hadn't thought about this, but I'm imagining that he would just. I'd almost given up hope that anyone would take me up on that. I imagine maybe they meet him in an office, and his office is messy. Maybe when they meet him, he drops a load of books. That's always endearing.
Perfect.
Yes, like maybe he needs to lead them into another room, but he can't remember where he put the key or something, and like sort of like an absent-minded academic.
Yeah.
And I think the museum, if I can describe the museum as being really cool, I'm imagining the Natural History Museum, but it's about weird magical nonsense or something.
Perfect.
So I think it will. I think if I can make it seem a bit sort of fabtrapulous,
Yeah.
a bit sort of steampunky, and everyone's a bit absent-minded professor kind of thing, then I think everyone's innate softness for academics will carry that, and I think he would get on with them.
Yeah. To be honest with
I imagine
you,
like if they get the feeling that he's not used to dealing with like heavies, which they are, like mercenaries. So if he's maybe like a little bit intimidated as well, like I don't know, feel free to put your swords over there or not. I don't really know how this works. Something like that maybe.
I completely agree. I think they are going to quite naturally get on with him, but I think that's a good way of sort of shoring it up. And kind of like I said last time, the Oxventure as a party, like everyone's a dream in terms of going, all right, well, this is the bit where we need to be polite enough to get the information to start the quest proper. So let's do that. So I don't
think any of them are going to just kill him.
No, exactly.
For instance,
so that is good. Going to the shop, finding out all the stuff, like it's great, and you have plotted out the building in your head, which is brilliant because it means that you can field any questions people will have without really having to come up with something inventive or worry what they're angling for. You can just tell them sort of what you've imagined. The animated armors I think they're a really good choice, because animated armors, I think the gamers in them are immediately going to think stealth, and they're going to want to kind of sneak around. They're not just going to bumble up there and start a big fight. So I think it should be quite quite a fun encounter, and B, something you can keep quite flexible and wrap up if you're worried that it's taking too long, because you're not in initiative order and you're not, just talking about whittling down hit points.
Yeah. Would your instinct be to have it that like, if assuming they enter the room not in a blaze of gunfire or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
assuming that they enter the room somewhat discreetly, do you think it would be better to have, like, they can look around and they can see that there are these, like, stealthy sentries that will activate if they make too much noise? Or do you think it would be better that there's, like, a sarcophagus and some bookshelves and some suits of armor, and they don't know that the suits of armor are sentient and are going to come to life? And
both are really good fun. I think my instinct would be, like, if you handed this to me and said, go run this, I think I would say that the animated armors are doing a patrol circuit when they come in.
cool.
Like,
okay.
if there's maybe a mezzanine level, like, I don't know how you're picturing it in your head, but you know the shop in Monkey Island where
Yes.
you ask
Yep.
the guy to go talk to the swordmaster and then follow him? That's kind of what I'm imagining. I'm imagining a mezzanine level so you can see the armor suit stomping around, probably making a hell of a lot of noise.
So you can see that from the ground floor, like if you just
Well, they don't have to be visible from the ground floor, even if they're just audible.
but you could hear the clanking.
Yeah, you know, Erasmus could be like, oh, don't worry about that. That's just our animated armors. They guard our more valuable items. And then they're immediately like, well, it's got to be up there, yada, yada, yada. But either way,
Yes,
I think
that's nice.
see what you feel like when you go in and when they enter, what sort of mood they're in.
Okay.
I think it will just come to you. You'll know whether to keep them hidden or not.
Okay.
Because one will seem infinitely more fun in the moment.
All right. Okay.
So I think that's brilliant. So once they get the pocket watch and someone is turned into a baby, you said pretty much the obvious choice should be to take the pocket watch and the baby and go back to Leopold and talk to him. I agree. That is the obvious choice. And this is the exact point that if they do anything different, it could throw you.
Yeah.
Like, it's so obvious, you need contingencies, because, like, it is that one moment where I would expect to be derailed here. If they were like, oh, well, we've got to go into the town and see if there's a warlock we can talk to or something like that.
Yes.
You know. So I think
we got to go to the guards, or we
Yeah.
got to find a daycare center.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there are basically three possible outcomes here. They go to the museum straight away, happy days. They try and talk to Symes, in which case you could quite easily just have Symes be like, I don't know, I just know it's valuable. I heard some bits from that stuffy bloke in the museum bragging about it.
I know if those eggheads were after it, then it must be valuable, and they probably know more than me.
Yeah. And if they go find a daycare centre, I mean, let them have a daycare centre if they want one. Like, just describe that they put them in a crash and be like, are you really going to put one of the adventurers in a crash?
Yeah.
Maybe the again, like, the prompt we're looking for here is go to the museum. The daycare centre, it could be as simple as like, excuse me, sorry, is this a cursed baby? Or is this an actual baby? Because if it's a cursed baby, we don't take those.
We only take genuine
uncursed
babies.
Like, So, you know, if they go into the town, just, I guess, have the townsfolk be obvious, like, figure out it's a cursed baby, or, you know, ask after the pocket watch, or like, basically, it doesn't really matter where they go as long as they eventually, and by eventually I mean, you know, sharpish, get the idea that they should go to the museum. Because you remember the bad chair day?
Oh God, yes, at the docks.
The reason I felt really unstuck by that one is that I just couldn't get my head around how to give you the prompt to go talk to the furniture manufacturers.
Yeah.
And it was just on my part, I wasn't quick enough, and I just couldn't crowbar it in. I don't think you'll have that problem here, because you've not mentioned any other locations. If they go anywhere that isn't either the antique shop or the museum, they are asking for you to lay out a location that may not actually exist yet in the world. You'd have to be improvising.
Yeah.
So I think naturally that sort of meta part of their psyche is psyche. Come on, that little meta part of their heads is gonna think like, this is probably not the right lead. basically, if they're doing it for comedy value, and you're sorted.
Which is fine.
So I think that is fine. Now,
Okay.
let's talk about the baby.
Yeah. Okay.
Because the one thing I don't get from this is an understanding of how it works for the player who is turned into said baby.
Well, I suppose I had a bunch of different ideas of what it could be. I thought, like, let's say for argument's sake, just to keep it consistent, that it's Corazon or something.
It's weird. I was working on the assumption that it would be Corazon as well.
Also, I thought it would be in a safe. Who's most likely to crack a safe? Probably Corazon. So in my mind, I do want it to be. I don't want to steer it towards Corazon unnecessarily. Sure. I really do want it to be random. But say it is Corazon because it's in a safe and some lock picking happens or something. I guess option A is that Andy can only go goo goo blah, 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 wah, which is quite funny.
Yeah.
Option B is that Andy can still say what he is thinking, like, but that no one else can understand him. I suppose. And I guess option C is that, like, he, I guess, has to be quiet. Like, he's basically sort of taken out of play, but that feels a little harsh. Or that maybe he sort of is able to talk, but magically doesn't know who anyone is. I don't know. What do you think?
I think these are all good options. I think of the A, B, and C you gave, probably B is the most fun because it means that the player still has agency.
Yeah.
And maybe you can make it like an intelligence check to actually sort of understand the basic thrust of what they're saying.
Yeah.
I think, to be honest with you, like, I think the players are going to sort of naturally latch on to how they think the baby's going to work.
Yeah, and I'll probably have to just roll with that.
I mean, you don't have to. You can always say, it doesn't really work that way, yada, yada, yada.
I suppose, maybe when... Because I guess I'll be describing it, and I'll be like, blah, 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 blah. Corazon is... And before you is a toddler in outsized pirate gear, waving a far too big crossbow and looking extremely confused. I suppose then I could be like, Corazon has been turned into a baby. Let me explain to you the baby mechanic in Dungeons and Dragons. Now, when under the baby status effect, you may still talk and plan and say whatever you like, but your party members canonically are not able to understand you unless they succeed on an intelligence check.
Yeah, that's good.
Or unless they both succeed on an intelligence check or something. I think they'll latch. I think they will find the inherent comedy in the idea of Andy saying, "We should kill Erasmus," and then being like, "What's this baby saying?" Yeah. I think he's saying he wants changing.
You can already imagine Prudence being like, "What's that, baby Corazon? You want to give me all of your gold?"
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So actually, my greatest concern, if it were me running this, my greatest concern would not be how it would work if Corazon was turned into a baby. It's the scenario in which Corazon isn't turned into a baby because he is going to try and use comprehend languages, which is the bane of many a puzzle for me, because there have been so many times I've been like, I'll give him this this coded document, or I'll give him this, it's in a cicpher, or it's written in another language, and he'll go, I use comprehend languages. Oh yeah, you can just do that.
Okay. Is it an acceptable amount of railroading to basically make it so that the pocket watch is completely unreadable and inert until someone picks it up?
I think that's fine. I think that's all right, just to be like, it. You don't, there's some vague scribblings, but you don't get anything much from them. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
I think that's fine. I'd be more concerned about Andy using it to try and just get around any kind of barrier to talking to the baby and being understood.
Oh, right. So you mean, so like if he's turned into a baby...
No, if someone else is turned into a baby,
else is turned into
he's
a
going to
baby,
be like, what does Prudence say? I use comprehend languages to understand this baby perfectly.
Well, what if in that case, both the baby and the grown-up have to make a check? So it's like if that doesn't slow it down too much, say Prudence is the baby.
Yeah.
If it's like so, Prudence says something like or Jane says something like I think we should fight the animated armors or something. Then I would say, okay, Jane, make me a I guess wisdom. Make me a, what kind of check would that be? Wisdom, whatever. Hang on, where's my list? I've made this the wallpaper on my phone. The list of of things. Yeah, although I now obviously don't actually have my phone with me. Okay, right. Okay. That looks like maybe persuasion or make me a charisma persuasion check, baby Prudence, to communicate clearly, and then make me a insight.
Perfect.
Insight, maybe an insight check, Corazon, to be able to comprehend it.
Yeah.
So it kind of has two opportunities to fall down.
I would say I would have either gone with charisma persuasion or charisma performance to be understood.
Performance might be better because it's a bit more of a sort of where.
Although, like, I think that would work. Obviously, it doubles the amount of dice rolling you're doing.
Yeah.
I think if it were me and
could
Andy
I just break comprehend languages, because would it not be fair enough to just say like comprehend languages would work, but Prudence is not speaking a language here. She has not learned a language.
Yes, there it is.
The baby doesn't know a language.
Yeah.
Baby isn't a language.
Yeah,
baby is just trying to communicate.
Yes, it's not, the problem is not that you don't understand this language, it's that this language is being spoken poorly.
Yes.
I think that's a good way of logically just closing out that avenue and ensuring that basically just the whimsy of trying to understand a baby in a combat situation is maintained.
Yeah.
There aren't many opportunities in which I'm like, okay, what if one of them uses this ability? But comprehend languages is one I try and keep an eye out for, because it is a very valid way of getting around a lot of puzzles. So I think that'll absolutely do it.
Another concern I have is if at the point where they find the pocket watch and it's just, the safe door is open. Maybe we'll talk about the safe in a moment as well, because I'm a little unsure about that. But say the safe door is open, the pocket watch is just you open the safe door, it swings open, and there on a pillow in the center is an ordinary looking pocket watch. Full stop. What if they are suspicious enough to not want to touch it, or if they're like, let's make Erasmus touch it or something, or I put on some gloves, or I take out some tongs and
Interesting. I mean, I think you sort of said earlier that the pocket watch would spring open of its own volition, right?
Yes, I was imagining it being picked up, but I guess I could just say like, Meryl, when as you look at it, if it looks like it's not happening, I suppose I could.
You can pick the moment. Like, they could even have left the shop and be on their way back, and you could say that it starts chiming.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
You can always pick the moment. So you don't even have to have an in-world reason for it. If Erasmus picks it up, it doesn't work for Erasmus. Just it's not, doesn't want what he's offering.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like the pocket watch has a sentience, because clearly it has to sense that there's enough time for it to be worth opening for and stealing to charge up. But also maybe it just sort of is drawn to particular lives more than it is others.
Yeah. A rich, full life full of magic. Also, they can all do magic, so I guess it's not going to want. I guess there's less might be less attracted to a non-magic user, I suppose. But yeah, okay, that feels fudgeable.
Will the baby be able to use their magical abilities?
Well, I think yes, but they should have to perform a difficult check. I think it should be way hard. I think the spell should be as easy to cast, but it should be much harder to make the spell work correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if it was Merylwen Baby and she tries to use Moonbeam, I think she should have to, like, maybe beat a check of 15 for the Moonbeam to go where she wants it to, or something. Mm-hmm. Or, like, if it was Baby Prudence and she's Eldritch Blasting, maybe she has to... Maybe there's a difficult dexterity check, or else she, like, blasts Corazon, or
gets
just
blown
fires
across
them off
the room because she's...
Yeah.
Great. Yes. I think that's perfect.
Okay.
I think that's very, very good. Do I have any more questions? You want us to talk about the safe?
Yeah, so I feel like putting the thing in a safe makes in-world sense, because if it's worth protecting, then it should be, like, locked behind a door. Mm-hmm. I also thought of a kind of... Obviously, there's lots of ways you could open a safe. Like, Corazon could take a crack at with the lock-picking tools. Mm-hmm. Although or they could take the safe out and blow it up, or, like, drop it off a cliff or something. Mm-hmm. Or melt it, or, you know, I guess there are lots of different ways of doing it. But I think, being so video gamey, if there is a safe, they will look around for a combination nearby. Mm-hmm. Especially Ellen. I think Ellen will want to sort of look through nearby papers and try and find a combination code or something. Yeah. So I have a sort of backup, like, in case that happens, in case they want to, like, try and, you know, open it the authentic way and need to find a code or something. I kind of have, like, a backup clue in the document. But I don't know if at this point I'm making it too complicated, or, like, I'm not sure what I would do if they don't get the clue. Or, like,
no, I think
do I want a combination lock, or do I want there to be, like, a key lock and Erasmus has the key, or something like that?
I don't think you need to sweat it too much. I think this is enough. Like, right. You've got a clue that they can find in the world if they want to. Which I guess would mean it's a combination lock, and if they don't find the clue, they could just try cracking it, and it might be difficult, and they might have to find another way of doing it. And they might decide to steal the safe and crack it open, or, you know, try and get one of the animated armors to mistakenly attack it or something.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think you need to worry too much. They'll come up with something. Cool. You just need to find something. You just wait until they suggest something you're inclined to say yes to, basically. Okay. But having a clue in the world readily there is good. But yeah, I don't think you need to have a contingency plan for every possible approach to the safe.
Cool. Okay. All right.
So yeah, the only thing left to do really is just to have a look at these enemies, I think.
Yes. Let me fire up the old D&D Beyond.
Mummy. I'm also going to fire up a combat challenge rating check. There we go. Okay. A mummy.
So, you once said in the video on Outside Xtra of, like, ways that your players can derail you as DM. That if you want your players to feel like badasses, give them one scary thing to fight, and if you actually want to give them a hard time, give them lots of little things to fight.
Yes.
So I was pretty sure that I want the final confrontation to be against one scary thing.
Okay.
The two enemies that I sort of had earmarked, because as well it's like a museum, and I thought, like, if this throwdown is happening in a museum, it would be kind of cool if it was a sort of area appropriate thing. Yeah. The mummy, and also there's a yeti, which has a similar number of hit points. The reason that I like them both, actually let me bring up the page for the yeti as well, because So, the thing I like about the mummy is the abilities that it has. I like the ability Dreadful Glare, which can frighten a target. Mm-hmm. I just think that sounds cool and fun to describe and kind of funny. The idea, when you're frightened, you can't move towards the mummy, which might make attacking it difficult, but it doesn't really hinder you in any serious way.
Yeah.
And you can also be paralyzed, but I think you have to really, really fluff your throw for that to happen.
It's, there's got to be a fail of like 5 or more, isn't there?
Yes, that's right. And if you're paralyzed, then you basically miss a turn. So it's not catastrophic, probably.
Yeah.
The mummy's attacks hit really hard. It does 10 bludgeoning damage and 10 necrotic damage. Now, Dob, I know, has like the most hit points of anyone at the moment.
Yeah.
And Dob has 62 HP currently. Mm-hmm. So I think the range is like about between the sort of like high 40s and low 60s.
Yeah.
I think. So if you take 20 points of damage, that's not terrible.
No.
Bearing in mind that this is the kind of like maths that I'm trying to sort of do in my head. Bearing in mind that you don't even know if you'll hit, and I guess I can choose who the mummy attacks. So if the mummy hits one person, then the mummy can like go after someone else next turn. The thing that I really like about being attacked by a mummy is this chance to get mummy rot, which is so if you get punched by the mummy, you have to make a DC 12 Constitution saving throw, which is quite easy to beat.
Yeah.
But I might fudge that so that someone gets mummy rot because it's funny.
Cool. Yeah.
When you've got mummy rot, you can't regain hit points, which isn't much of a punishment in a one-off fight, and your hit point maximum decreases by 10 for every 24 hours that elapse. So if you were playing D&D very seriously, this is really bad because you would have to find someone who can do a particular spell, or you would die. But we don't play D&D that seriously, so I feel like I can probably find a way of, at the end of this campaign, removing the curse. But I think it will sound very scary and serious to have mummy rot, which is going to kill you in several days.
Yeah, big time.
Unless you can get it cured. And also not being healed could potentially be quite alarming as well.
Yeah. So, I think this is a really good choice for a creature for them to fight. I feel like 58 hit points is actually going to get wicked away very quickly.
You reckon?
If it's just one. Because you're talking about 5 Oxventurers in the room. So, for every one chance you have to give somebody mummy rot, you're looking at taking 5 attacks worth of damage. And because it, I think everyone's going to go hard on their spells.
I think so.
We're talking Agonizing Blast. We're talking, if Corazon can hide, he can do a lot of damage. To give yourself an opportunity to hit somebody, I would do 2 mummies, I think.
Okay.
So, let's just have a look. It's not an exact science. What level is everyone? Is everyone 7 now?
Yes.
7. Calculate. Okay, so there's an encounter calculator online.
Oh, cool. Okay.
5 characters at level 7. An easy fight is 1,750 XP. Now, a mummy alone, just one, is 700 XP.
Right.
So, basically, throwing one mummy at them, they will walk it in a round, possibly a round and a half.
Okay.
So I would say, if you threw 3 at them, it would put you somewhere between an easy and a medium encounter. In order for it to be deadly, you'd have to go all the way up to 8,500 XP.
Okay.
Obviously, you don't want to do that because you're running a game to time.
Yeah.
And combat can be very boring. So I reckon the sweet spot is 2. If they absolutely annihilate somebody, there are just more sarcophagi around the room, so more mummies can come out.
Yeah.
But I would say hit them with 2 and just see how you go.
Okay.
because they're an AC 11.
That is so interesting because I was nervous about doing 1 because 58 hit points sounds like a lot because it's weird. I like when I'm running because I'm so nervous about like doing too serious harm.
Yeah.
When I imagine the mummy attacking, I imagine everything going right, and then when I imagine the Oxventure is attacking, I imagine everything going quite poorly.
Mm-hmm.
So like, attacks missing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But actually, what's the armor class on the mummy is really low.
Yeah, it's 11.
11. So like the no one's going to be missing attacks probably.
No. In terms of wicking away damage, like at the end of I can't remember the name of it, the last one where Egbert got kidnapped at the end.
Oh, with the
punny names.
Bone to Pick Part 2.
Yes, that's right.
Yes, with the more demons.
More demons, yeah. More demons have 33 hit points, and I threw 6 of them at you.
Oh wow!
Now,
we
granted,
really went through them.
Their challenge rating is only 200 XP, so they're actually significantly lower challenge than a mummy in terms of the damage they can give out.
Right.
But I threw 6 33 hit point creatures at you, and you waded through them.
Right. Okay. Okay.
But it was actually the right length of fight. I was going to bring more in, and I didn't because I thought this will do. Actually.
Okay.
So I think 2 mummies is the right. I mean, also damage vulnerabilities fire.
Yeah.
Fire damage is doubled for this lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, these I think 2 mummies with the.
Corazon's going to have a hard
adding
time
more.
hurting. Well, if he can hide, which he almost certainly can.
Yeah.
Then sneak attack is sneak attack is absolutely ludicrous.
He does 4d6 bonus damage
4d6 bonus damage on top of his, which is
on top of the d8 plus his dex mod, which is not as high as Dobbs but still decent.
Yeah.
So he can kick out the damage.
So he's probably going to take off about half of a mummy's hit points with sneak attack.
Potentially, because if you look at damage resistances, and this is where you're going to get under their skin, piercing and slashing damage from non-magical attacks is halved.
Which is funny because you can imagine the rapier just being like
exactly
going in
like, and he's like, okay, what do we do now? So
yeah.
I think in terms of the resistances, immunities, vulnerabilities, this is a good pick for the party, and it's cool. Like, it's a great choice. Just do 2 of them, and have a couple more on backup if you think they're getting through them too quickly, because you want to give somebody mummy rot.
Yeah.
And if at the end of it you don't give somebody mummy rot, at the end of the adventure when everyone's like, hooray, surprise mummy bite on the back, why not?
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
It's I think, it feels railroady to be like, and you've got mummy rot, but if it's an interesting story beat,
yeah, I think that's pretty fun.
Yeah.
There are, I guess, sort of maybe one of the reasons I was overcautious with the level of enemy is I'm like, someone's a baby.
Yep.
Also,
I suppose that's true.
Dob isn't there.
Yep.
Unless he is, because basically, I suppose now at this point now I'm kind of thinking now once I started thinking about enemy stuff and party strength, I started thinking about the actual sort of mechanics of this, because it's obviously Mike is off for a few weeks, and it's I'm not sure where I'm running this, so potentially I'm imagining it what if it's just Corazon and Prudence and Merylwen and one of them's baby. And then I thought, Johnny, it would be cool if you were in this as an NPC who's introduced just for this Oxventure one-off, if you would be willing.
I'd love that. That'd be great.
I don't know if that would be I don't know. I think you'd probably have to be quite a taciturn character or something, because obviously you actually know sort of.
Yeah, I'm not going to lead the charge in any way.
Yeah, I don't think you would. But I was wondering maybe if Leopold Shoelacy has a butler or a manservant or something. What do you think? If you
I think that's doable. Well, I mean, we can sort of workshop that, but I'll do it's. It didn't have a name until I just thought of it, but I'll just do the cheerful Sean Bean dwarf protocol, where
Okay.
basically every now, like a couple of times now, I've guested on shows, and I've just decided, because I love playing dwarves,
Yeah.
just to be a dwarf who's like, okay, what are we doing then? And then
I love
they'll
it.
be like, was that? I'll be like, great idea, and just always wants to help, never wants to dictate. So I'll just do that.
Amazing.
So yeah, in that case, I think as long as you're not down a party of 3, I reckon 1 mummy would be fine. More than that, 2.
Cool.
That's what I reckon.
Let's do 2 mummies, because
Yeah.
worst case scenario, I can always just have them die early.
Yeah, exactly.
I am not beholden to anything.
Exactly. Or any one.
Yeah.
Take that, written down numbers. You can't hurt me anymore.
Yeah. I've been trying to do quite a lot of like revision on how combat works. I did have one very boring question.
Yeah, go for it.
When Prudence makes a ranged spell attack,
Yep.
what is her modifier? It seems like it's different for every class.
A warlock, it's charisma, I believe.
Okay, and her charisma is like through the roof.
Yes.
Okay.
It is big.
And I don't think Merylwen's magical attacks, like I think Moonbeam is her Moonbeam and Roots,
Yeah.
entangle. I think they just happen.
Yes, those ones are saving throws. To be honest with you, in the whole party, there are very, very few magical things that take a ranged attack or an actual attack roll. Eldritch Blast is one of them. But to be honest with you, you don't need to worry about that too much. Everyone's got spell cards, and everyone's pretty comfortable with what's going on. And they're also very used to me saying, "Okay, how does that work?
Tell me what happens.
Tell me what this does."
Okay.
Because it helps cement it in their head, and it's also just nice to hear from the magic user being like, "So this is what it does, and here is what I am hoping to get from it." So don't drive yourself up the wall trying to remember who's got which modifier for which core characteristic, because they've got it. It's that's much more their duty than yours.
Cool.
So yeah.
All right. It's taken me a little while to figure out how to read the sort of the monster stat block thing. Like it's I'm finding this so much with D&D. It's like nothing is written down twice, but it's spread across 6 books.
Yep.
So it's like it's going to obviously check chapter 8 for more information on this, and I'm like, this is the most fundamental, like this is really fundamental stuff. How can this be so hard to find? Like stuff like that.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. D&D is not the most beginner friendly game. It's the one people often start out with because it's familiar and it's the one they've
famous.
heard of. Yeah, and because they've seen people play, it's not that beginner friendly. So, but nonetheless, I declare you ready. I think you've got this.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So, this seems like an absolute banger of an Oxventure, and B, I can't wait to see you running it and see.
Oh my
I'll let
gosh.
you know my thoughts on a character, I guess. Yeah, you're gonna smash it. Don't worry.
Okay. I am worried, but but not too worried. I'm equal parts worried and hyped.
You're like healthily worried.
Healthily worried, yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in that case, I think we will draw this little video to a close. I hope the people watching it found it interesting and useful. There are lots more tabletop things for you to watch on Dicebreaker and indeed on Outside Xtra, because that's where we make the things we do for work.
Yep.
So have a look at those. Well, tell you what, Luke. Thank you so much for this again. Thank
you for sharing the benefit of your wisdom.
I mean, I set you homework. I don't think I should be thanked in this instance, but thank
It's
you.
amazing.
For doing
I feel like I've got more homework to do because I'm thinking now that I need a backup list of names for one thing. I also need to figure out some stats for the boring humans involved, I suppose. And I guess I also need to. You're sort of Sean Bean dwarf, which I'm super into. I feel like because Dob isn't there, and likely Egbert won't be there either, depending on when we run this. Oh, sorry, there was one more thing I need to ask you about.
Oh yeah.
I feel like maybe your dwarf should have some healing spells, maybe.
Okay.
But I don't know. But what do you want?
I'm happy with anything. I could do a cleric, or I could just do someone who can do healing on that.
All right. What kind of level? What do you think? Weaker, a bit weaker than the Oxventurers?
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's make me level 3.
Cool. Level 3.
I'll try and impress you. I'll be like, look. It's not that impressive.
Ah, what weapon do you want?
Hammer. Quite like a warhammer.
Cool. Warhammer is cool. Sweet.
Great. That was easy.
That actually was quite easy.
Yeah.
Okay. I will give that character some stats, I guess, and DM them to you.
Sure. Or I can roll them up if you want. And
yeah, you roll them up. Roll them up, and
I'll make them and send them to you.
Let me know.
And you just tell me what you think, and if it works for you. This is the point at which I don't want to give you more homework. So
okay.
Don't plan it too much. Maybe come up with a few names if that'll make you feel better. But apart from that, I would say don't change that doc. Don't touch that dial.
Don't touch that dial. Okay.
You're ready.
The final thing that I have going in my mind is like, when this all begins, where's Dob?
Good question. What does your heart of hearts say?
My heart of hearts says, well, my first thought was like, could Johnny just be Dob for an Oxventure, which you are. I mean, you are welcome to it, but I also feel that there is some weirdness about like putting on someone else's skin, and like characters are kind of.
Yeah, I don't want to do a bad Luke Westaway impression for 2 hours while you're in the room.
I'm already doing the bad Luke Westaway impression. Okay, so I guess he's dead forever. I don't know.
It can be as important or as spurious as you want.
Okay, so they're all in a tavern. Dob has gone to pick up his dry cleaning.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's it. Everyone was complaining about the smell too much, so Dob has gone to get his clothes washed.
Yep, there you go.
Okay,
perfect.
Cool.
Like I did a guest session running the D&D campaign I've been playing in as Rust on the Harbour. And at the start of the quest, Rust was the quest giver. He was like, "Hey, I found this thing. It's a map to a treasure. Also, I found a brownie under your bed." And then he passed out. So that was all it needed. So
amazing.
I wouldn't sweat it too much.
Okay.
Sweet. Okay. Well, in that case, I will let you go, and I will let these fine people watching at home go. Obviously, you should know by now, but Luke can be found on youtube.com/Outside Xtra. I can be found on youtube.com/Dicebreaker, the channel you're already watching. And we will see you very soon for more tabletop-related silliness.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Thank you so much, Johnny.
Yeah, thank you.
See you next
have a
time,
lovely
everyone.
day. Bye.